freedom pass from hand to yearning hand, and the vision of our fathers spread hope throughout this land, as the dream some fought and died for in my heart becomes my own. I will strive to keep her promise, America, my home. America, America, may God bless America, and freedom reign across America, my home. From the shorelines to the prairies, to the cities great and small, we have reaped the fruits of justice and liberty for all. So with deep appreciation for the blessings of freedom we know in this wonderful land of ours, I'm Dr. George Simon, welcoming you to another edition of Character Matters. This is the program where we talk about what I consider to be the defining issue of our time, the character crisis that we face and that affects so many aspects of our lives, from our individual relationships, our family relations, to our community relations, to our politics, to our business affairs. The character issue affects every aspect of our lives. That's why character matters. And that's why this program is called Character Matters. Once we make character matter again, it will indeed matter again. It has to matter to us first. We have to hold ourselves to account. We human beings are unique. We're very unique in how long it takes us to socialize properly, to work together as a community, to get it right in our relationships. And long ago we realized that it helps to develop systems of belief, codes of conduct, that help us to be better persons. Unfortunately, many of those systems have eroded, and they have become antiquated. Some have been trampled upon. And there's been this interrelationship between the erosion of character-fostering institutions and the loss of character among so many individuals inhabiting our world. And when more and more character-impaired individuals enter society, it's inevitable that whatever institutions are there that have been designed to promote character, it's inevitable that those institutions will further erode as more and more character-impaired people enter into the populace. It's a classic vicious cycle. Character-impaired people entering the population will erode those institutions, and as those institutions erode, there will be more and more character-impaired folks among us. And that's how it goes. And so that's why I have been writing my books and doing this program and posting articles on my blog at drgeorgesimon.com and manipulative-people.com. Either URL will take you to the same place. And this last Friday, I posted on something that we were going to be talking about tonight, in addition to whatever you want to talk about. But tonight we're going to be talking about the whole concept of merit and meritorious conduct. We have lost a sense of what merit is, and we've also lost a sense of how to foster it. And I'm going to be talking about that tonight. But if you have something you'd like to say, if you have a question you'd like to ask, if you have a story you'd like to share that you think would be of interest, or just a comment you'd like to make, give us a call at 501-258-8326. That's 501-258-8326. That's 501-258-8326. And I'll be happy to take your call. I should make a couple of announcements here. It is most likely that next Sunday, October the 7th, next Sunday, October 7th, 2017, will likely not be a live broadcast. We are broadcasting tonight, October 1st. If today is October 1st, then next Sunday cannot be October 7th, can it? It must be October 8th. So my correction there. Next Sunday, October 8th, will not be a live broadcast. But this Sunday, October 1st, is live. So you can call in and discuss matters at 501-258-8326. It's also possible that you'll be treated once again to a pre-recorded program, maybe a best of program on the Sunday after next, which would be the 15th, on October 15th. That's possible as well. It's not as certain, but most likely next Sunday, October 8th, 2017, will not be a live program. So if you've had something on your mind for a while, and you've been wanting to call in, and you've been looking for just the right opportunity, and you've been just kind of wavering about it, this is the time to do it at 501-258-8326. That's 501-258-8326. Well, I told you that I wanted to talk about the concept of merit. This is something I posted on Friday. And, there have been some studies done in the last several years that bear out what many, many years ago I was learning from experience. When you work in the field as long as I have, seeing mostly individuals touched by character-related problems, either treating individuals who have character disturbances or dealing with their aggrieved relationship partners or family members, you learn a few things along the way. And one of the things that I learned is that so many character-impaired people have narcissistic traits. They have these bent out-of-shape egos, these inflated egos. They have a self-esteem, a self-concept that is out of whack, shall we say, an exaggerated sense of self-importance. And I have learned from these haughty individuals, those who are the exact opposite of the humble among us. I've learned from these folks that a lot of what we traditionally thought made such folks the way they are is just simply not true. we were always taught, those of us in the helping professions, that individuals who present what appears to be a facade of grandiosity are in fact insecure individuals struggling with poor self-esteem and a poor self-image, and are doing their best at an unconscious level to compensate for that by this grandiose or haughty persona that they present. Well, that can happen. But in our day and time, it doesn't happen that often. So this assumption that we've had for years and years and years, that this is always the case, it's proven not to be true. In fact, there are individuals who really do think they're all that, and they've actually been groomed that way. They've been raised that way. There are many ways that a person can get to have a pretty big head. And one of the things, when I was doing my clinical case study research for my first two books, In Sheep's Clothing, Understanding and Dealing with Manipulative People, and my second book, Character Disturbance, The Phenomenon of Our Age, the comprehensive manual, if you will, for understanding character disturbance. When I was doing my clinical case study research for those two books, I realized that some individuals were actually basically reinforced for thinking way too much of themselves. And I also learned that there was a particular way that their egos got inflated. I noticed an odd kind of phenomenon. Early on in my books, I mentioned this. I make a distinction, and so do other psychologists, make a distinction between what we call self-esteem and self-respect. The word esteem actually comes from the Latin, and it means literally to estimate one's worth, to make an intuitive assessment, basically, about what one has going for them in various ways. And I noticed that some of the individuals that I was dealing with had a whole lot of self-esteem, but not a lot of self-respect. You see, self-respect is different. The word respect also comes from the Latin. Spectere means to see or to look. We get the word spectacles from that Latin root. And respectere, or respect, means to look again or to look back. And so respect has to do with looking back on what you have done with all that you have been given. And that's what fuels self-respect. So I listened to my clients, and they taught me basically that you can have a whole heck of a lot of self-esteem and not a lot of self-respect. And what I noticed with all my character-disturbed clients is I noticed that they had a lot of self-esteem, but not a lot of self-respect. Why? Because they hadn't done very much to merit self-respect. And I wondered how in the world could they think so much of themselves when they didn't really have very much to show for themselves in the way of laudatory kinds of behavior. And when I examined their histories, I found that they were often praised, often given positive strokes for certain things, namely things that they could not legitimately take credit for. For example, their physical attributes. Many times they get all kinds of positive strokes, lots of attention and lots of reinforcement. For what? For how they looked. For what pretty blue eyes they had. How fine their hair was. How good looking they were generally. Whatever the case may be. They got a lot of attention. People paid attention to them because they were physically attractive in some way. Maybe they were intelligent. Maybe they were talented with an instrument or something. Maybe they had raw musical talent. Whatever the case may be, there was something about them that was innate, that drew people's attention and won them lots of attention, not only attention, but praise and reinforcement, a lot of social reinforcement. And it was easy for these folks to develop kind of a big head. Now, sometimes individuals who had a lot going for them used their talents, used their looks, used their abilities, used their gifts, if you will, to do some pretty nice things and to treat people well and to make good friendships and to do some really responsible things. And those folks had a good deal of self-respect as well as a lot of self-esteem. The character-impaired folks that I came across, the folks that were really struggling with big deficiencies of character, these folks didn't have much meritorious conduct in their histories. And I got to thinking about that, and I made some conjectures in my books, In Sheep's Clothing, and in my book, Character Disturbance, and made the point that if we want to inflate someone's ego in the wrong way, what we do is we give them attention for all those things that they really can't take credit for anyway, and we reinforce them for those things, and they'll think a whole lot of themselves. But it won't be properly founded. But if we want people to have really decent self-respect, we must give them attention and recognition for and reinforce their pro-social acts, how they conduct themselves, how they use their gifts and talents for the greater good. And then, lo and behold, over the last several years, some research is bearing that out. A researcher by the name of Brummelman and colleagues of Brummelman have done a series of research on praise and what you want to praise children for when they're growing up, how you really want to recognize them, and where we make a mistake, where we make a big mistake, is we want to reinforce folks. We want to laud them for those things that they can't really take credit for, such as their talents or abilities, their intelligence, their physical characteristics. These were all accidents of nature, if you will, or gifts of God, if you will. But the person had absolutely nothing to do with any of those things. Now, how they conduct themselves in the social arena, that's a whole different story. And we are very bad in our culture, I must say, about making that matter a lot and giving it proper attention. You know, our young folks, they face challenges every day. They go into a minefield socially as they go off to school. There's so many lessons that they are faced with learning about how to get along, how to make things work, how to develop solid relationships, how to get past just using and abusing one another, how to get past just indulging oneself, how to get past objectifying others, developing truly meaningful relationships. They have to learn all that. And they witness all kinds of things happening. And where they don't get enough recognition and where they don't get enough credit and enough reinforcement are those little acts of heroism that they will do from time to time. Every young person has done this. You know, it's when little Susie at school or little Johnny at school witnesses another child being bullied. And then they have the empathy and the courage to comfort, support the victim. Maybe they have the additional courage to even confront the bully, or at least report the incident and solicit a little bit more action on the institution's part about protecting those that they are charged with protecting while they're there to learn. It's those little acts of heroism that we don't often catch and recognize and then really reinforce. Those kinds of acts are acts of what we call meritorious conduct. I looked up the definition. Webster says, merit, a meritorious act is an act that's worthy of praise. It's worthy of public recognition. It's worthy of reward. It's worthy of other people's interest. And I think about the kinds of things that we reward and we recognize and that we adulate in some ways. I look in the field of celebrities of one type or another, whether it be in the music field, it be in the acting field. Look even in professional sports. It's those folks with the talent, with the flair, with the larger-than-life personalities, with the natural endowments that not only get all the attention, but get just heaps of reinforcement and tons of money. And then they act like fools. And is it any surprise? You know, now the culture is beginning to look at itself. But for instance, for quite some time, in the National Football League, in the NFL, there was a significant problem with spousal abuse. And now, in recent years, for the first time, the league has gotten very serious about that. Well, I can remember, I've mentioned this many times, I can remember, it wasn't that long ago, when character mattered so much that when an athlete was being vetted for a position on a team, that was a huge part of the deal. You could have all the talent you wanted to have. You could have all the potential to bring people into the stands and make your team lots of money. But if there were a chance, if there were even a small chance, then you would disgrace the good name of the team, bring dishonor along with you because of the way you might conduct yourself. I can remember a time when it didn't matter that you had all the talent in the world. You were probably not going to get hired. Why? Because there was a time when character mattered. Mattered a lot. When we make it matter again, things will turn around. It's affected everything, folks. It's so affected our politics. It's just absurd. I am so embarrassed by some of the buffoons that we have supposedly representing us in high offices, because we've decided that character doesn't matter that much anymore. We've decided, it seems, that if somebody will do what we think they might be able to do for us, we'll vote them in office. We'll give them the reins of power just because we think, based on what they say or they promise, just because we think that they will advance our agenda. And if they don't have the greatest character, well, we can excuse that. We'll excuse that. I'm here to tell you, whenever crunch time comes, it doesn't matter how smart someone is. It doesn't matter how politically astute they are. When crunch time comes, when disasters are upon us, what matters? What matters is what always matters. Character. That's why we call this program what we do. And when we make it matter again, when we refuse, for example, to elect people, unless they have, we can send all kinds of messages. We can send all kinds of messages. We live in an advanced information age. Almost nothing escapes us now. And grassroots movements are perhaps easier to organize now than any time in the past because of what rapid, instantaneous kind of communication we can have with one another. Now, we have a great demonstration going on presently about why, or proving the point, basically, proving the point about how in crunch time the only thing that really matters is character. United States has a possession on another state, but a possession. It's a technical difference. Nonetheless, the inhabitants in this possession are American citizens, United States citizens. They just happen to be an island. They just happen to be an island entity. And they just happen to be in the path of two gigantic storms. One didn't hit them quite as directly. It did a whole heck of a lot of damage, but it wasn't as bad as they thought. But then, double whammy time. Just as they were beginning to recover from the first devastating storm, almost total destruction hit in the form of another overwhelming storm. A direct hit across the entire span of the island, decimating everything. I have some friends who lived on the island. They were fortunate enough to finally get out. It was a real ordeal. They were able to get tickets, and they went to the airport with their tickets, and they couldn't board a plane. Why? No crew, and no staff, no baggage handlers, no power, no one to process them. A plane sitting idly on the tarmac without the fuel to carry them, without a fresh crew to pilot them, and with no staff to process them. And they went through this ordeal several times before they were able to finally leave the island. And they feel so guilty because now they're here, continental side, with family and enjoying running water, hot shower. They know where their next meal is coming from, and those they left behind are not so fortunate. Millions, we're talking about millions, hundreds of thousands of people in dire straits on an island nation with an infrastructure so badly damaged that even the aid that has been delivered can't be delivered inland to where it needs to go. Drivers can't make it to trucks. Fuel can't make it through the pipeline. There's not enough fuel to start with. Communications are down. Some people can't even get the word out that they are truly starving to death. And what kind of response, what kind of leadership have we seen? It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. And it's not just a matter of intelligence. Of course, intelligence would help, but it's not just a matter of intelligence. It's not just a matter of political acumen. course, that would help too. And it's not even a matter of experience. It's a matter of character. It's a matter of appreciating the scope of the tragedy and having enough human empathy, enough humaneness, enough character to leave no stone unturned, to have the same ravenous appetite for success that one had in getting rich. But you see, you can have that ravenous appetite to get rich. You can do what you have to do at all cost, no matter who you have to run over and no matter what you have to do to enrich yourself. You can have that and still have no decency of character. All you've got to have to do is have the determination. You just try to convince me. I'd love to hear from you. If somebody has a differing point of view, I would love to hear it. I would love to hear the rationale, frankly. 501-258-8326 is the number, 501-258-8326. I'd love to hear from you. But I'd love for somebody to convince me that in the end, what doesn't make the difference is character. Lately, there have been all these programs. There were a couple of Netflix programs that I caught, and there's a movie coming out soon all about Churchill. And then, of course, there was the movie Dunkirk that was popular just a few months ago. A lot of criticism in his time. Maybe not the most, maybe not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Maybe even not the most politically astute. Although it appears he did learn quite a few things along the way. In the end, what mattered is character. And a love for people. A people who were being oppressed and who were in danger of losing everything, of being totally decimated. And galvanizing a resolve. Helping to save a country. Character does matter, whether we like it or not, whether we care to admit it or not. In the end is what always makes the difference. And we're in a sad state in our country, and not just here. This is universal. We have so much. We haven't been tested. We are going to be. We are going to be. We will face some monumental tests. It's going to be a big question whether we will make it. But I am not one of those doom and gloomers. I see the dawn of a brand new age right around the corner. I see a redefining and a refurbishing and a re-enlivening and a reshaping of a great guiding myth that will take us into a new age. And by myth, I don't mean a falsehood. I mean a story about who we are, what we're meant to be, what we can be. What the mechanics of our survival will necessarily have to be if our species is to survive. You know, nature is not going to be outdone. There are rules. This fragile thing that we call life, we don't even know that in this vast, 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 vast universe, we don't even know that this precious commodity we call life even exists anywhere else. We don't know. There's no evidence. Of course, I'd like to think that the possibilities are endless. This is a vast, 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 vast universe. But as yet, we have had no evidence of life, this precious, precious life, this precious commodity, anywhere. So for all we know, we're it. And what we know is that species become extinct, especially when they cannot adapt. And right now, we are as divided and we are as character impaired as we have been in a long, long time. And that has to turn around if we're to survive. And it will turn around once we make character matter again. Once we focus on merit, once we stop adulating, overpaying, paying attention to the flashy among us, and start championing the good among us. Those folks who take their responsibilities seriously and make a meaningful contribution. Who bring honor to themselves and others. Who care. But more than that, because caring is not enough. You got to put that care into action. You know, this song that I have been using for the introduction and the close of this program, and that I've been very seriously considering replacing, it has a message. America's greatness has never, ever resided in its military might or its economic power, both of which are very substantial. De Tocqueville is quoted as saying, even though he never really did say it, that America is great because it is good. And when it ceases being good, it will cease being great. That was supposedly his observation. Well, even though he never actually said it, truer words could never be spoken. What makes this country great, and has always made it great, as I said before, is not its military might or its economic power, both of which are substantial, but the character of its people. It's people of good character, people who take all their responsibilities seriously, who revere their families, who revere their commitments to their families, who respect their communities and their neighbors, who conduct their business affairs with honor and with honesty and dignity, who treat their employees fairly, who put in an honest day's work for their employer. That's what makes America great, because that's what allows freedom to exist. Our founders knew this. You give folks with decent character maximum opportunity and freedom. You leave them alone. You don't micromanage their lives. You don't oppress them. You give folks like that free rein, and they'll do fantastic things. And not only will they do fantastic things, but because they have the moral character, they will, in their prospering, create opportunities for others and help see to it that we all prosper. That's what people of good character do. And that's what made America great. What we're witnessing right now, especially on our political scene, is an embarrassment of monumental proportions. And the fact that we tolerate it, that we're almost immune to it, that we're so desensitized to it that it doesn't shock and outrage us anymore, the fact that we have sunk this low is a just plain national disgrace. There's no way you call this place great. Yes, we have the freedom. We still enjoy the freedom. But we're the biggest dysfunctional family. And that's why we're no longer great. We can be great again. We can be. And as I said, I am not a pessimist. I am the eternal optimist. And I see right around the corner, I see tremendous birthing pangs on the horizon. We will be going through some hell. No question about it. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. I'm pretty sure of that. But I see the dawn. I see the dawn of a new age. And I see a new myth ready ready for us to latch onto and to help guide us. I think that in this new age, the opportunities are going to be endless. But we have to restore, first, this concept of merit, and we have to quit lowering our standards for those who would lead us. We have to make character matter again. And we have to do our best to help instill it, to teach the lessons. Believe me, our young people are learning. They're learning all kinds of things. They're learning from a variety of sources. They are bombarded with all kinds of messages from all kinds of places. So if they are to turn out to be the purpose-driven, principle-driven leaders that we need to guide us through the new age, we have to be maximally aware of our obligations to recognize and reinforce and to model meritorious conduct. I hope you'll take a gander over, gander. I hope you'll take a trip over to the blog at manipulative-people.com or drgeorgesimon.com. Either URL will take you to the same place, and read the article that I posted this past Friday on that very topic. I hope also that you'll take advantage of some of the other wonderful articles there that will give you an idea of my work, and hope you also take advantage of my books, In Sheep's Clothing, Understanding and Dealing with Manipulative People, Character Disturbance, The Phenomenon of Our Age, my more comprehensive work about all the nefarious characters you're likely to encounter in your life, what really makes them tick, how to best to deal with them, and especially what to look for in the way of help when you're seeking help for dealing with character-related problems. And then also my book, The Judas Syndrome, the only book so far that I've written for the Christian faith community. And then my book, How Did We End Up Here, co-authored by Dr. Kathy Armistead, the Relationship Partner Survival Guide, how to navigate through this character-disordered world of ours, how to survive and prosper and thrive in this kind of crazy, mixed-up world where so many people are of such deficient character. So I hope you'll take advantage of those things. I hope also that you'll keep listening to this program. We didn't have a caller tonight, at least not so far. We only have a few minutes before the program ends tonight. But I'll give the number out one more time. It's 501-258-8326. That's 501-258-8326. I was thinking maybe we'd have somebody who wanted to challenge me on my thoughts about our current political leadership and the character issues that I think shame us all. They shame us all. We ought to be pretty darned embarrassed that what we offer to the world is so ugly in character. Shame on us. Shame on us. And I mean that very sincerely. Shame on us. It needs to matter who we are. It needs to matter. And I don't care whether you're one of those angry folks. I don't care if you felt disenfranchised. I have felt disenfranchised. I don't care if you feel underrepresented. I have felt underrepresented, poorly represented. I don't care if you feel unheard. I've felt unheard. Just because somebody says that they will tend to those things, make things right, doesn't mean that they have the character to actually follow through. Even character is not enough. You need to have the intelligence, the determination, the political savvy. You've got to have an awful lot of other things. But without character, it's just never going to work. And we're seeing that now undeniably so. No one can deny it. Well, you can deny it, but I think it's pretty undeniable. And I think it's time we opened our eyes. And I think it's time we started to care enough about character, making it matter. Because when we do, then the promise that we were sold during the campaign will actually come true. When we make character matter again, when we start recognizing and reinforcing meritorious conduct, truly praiseworthy, respect-worthy conduct, when we start doing that again, then we will be great again. That's how you make America great. That's how you do it. So, I'll be here every Sunday, for the most part, trying to do my part to make that happen. As I mentioned, next week, more than likely, on the 8th of October, I will not be here live, so you'll probably be treated to a pre-recorded program, and fairly likely the Sunday after that, on the 15th, you are also likely to enjoy that day a pre-recorded program, hopefully one of the best of programs. I'm taking some much-needed R&R. This trip is not a workshop trip, it's an R&R trip. It's much needed, but I'll be back in front of the microphone the week after that. I'll be able to take your calls. As you listen to this theme song, remember what makes us really great, and mosey on over to the blog. Tune in again next week for another edition of Character Matters. I'm Dr. George Simon. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you again next time.
America, my home. America, may God bless America and
my name is S.M. Dick